Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to High School Friends. I'm Johnny.
I'm Melissa.
We're two high school friends reconnecting and unpacking where we are in our lives, what we're up to. We know probably the audience knows us, but the new people probably don't know anything about us. So we're just gonna share where we're at now, what we struggled with in high school, and how to support each other.
I think that's a good plan.
Okay, so Melissa,
Okay.
why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean a little bit about me. I live in LA. I
Yeah.
grew up in New York. Um, Grew up pretty traditional. My parents became super observant. I would say when I was like around 12, my
Was there
mom
a
started.
reason for that, by the way?
Um, you know, I think it was like my mom's own like life struggles that like led her to get closer to Hashem. We grew up traditional. Like we were always like Shabbat dinners, kosher, but then, like Saturdays we'd like go out. We
Yeah.
wouldn't, yeah. And that all changed. I was in public school and
Where did you
then
go to public school? I don't remember this. Was this South?
what I was at South for sixth grade and seventh grade. So eighth grade I switched to Hank. There was a program which was honestly amazing, NOP. I don't know if you remember that. It
No.
was the New Opportunities Program. It was for kids from public school who wanted to switch to like a Jewish day school and needed to like catch up. I had
Oh,
gone
Hank,
to Hebrew school my whole life, but
Hank had
uh,
this program.
yeah, Hank had a program which was honestly amazing, and it like caught you up in a year, and then you were
Ready to go.
just ready to go. I mean, I did fine after that. I was like in regular, even like advanced Hebrew classes and
I
stuff.
think you were in honors throughout. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
interesting.
I did not struggle, thank God. Um, yeah, my parents became more observant, so went to Hank, and then I went to NYU for college. And then I started my master's at NYU, and then I met my husband. We were doing long distance.
How long were you guys going out for before marriage?
We met when I was 20. We met in Israel, and we were just friends for a while. Like he kept calling me and telling me he was going to marry me, and I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I gotta go. Like that's not happening." Um,
At the
but
start.
he was like, "Yeah," and then it just we were, and then I came to LA. Two of my cousins were going with their friend on a trip to LA, and their friend canceled on them last minute, and they're like, "Why don't you come with us?" And I was like, "Okay, why not?" And then I was like, "Who do I know here? I don't know anyone. I know him. Let me call him." And then that's when we really like hit it off and started doing long distance. And then I think we did long distance for about a year until we got engaged.
Perfect.
Yeah. And so I've been in LA, and then I finished my master's at USC. Um, really put my career on hold for a really long time. I wanted to be the one to raise my children. That was important to me. So I finished my master's. I like gave birth and then didn't make it to graduation with my first. Um,
Traumatic.
Not traumatic, really. I mean, like a little bit sad that I didn't go to my graduation, but
Yeah.
yeah, I was already like now like wearing my mom hat, I feel like, so I kind of like let it go.
Yeah.
And then so I have a master's in social work, and in order to get licensed to have a private practice and see clients, you need 3,500 hours supervised under somebody licensed.
So
And
they're
you need
like
to,
in on your sessions.
so they're not in on your sessions, but every week you have like a 2 hour group supervision and a one-on-one supervision where you talk about your cases and they give you like feedback. And I started doing that when Jonah, my oldest, was like a year and 10 months. I'm like, okay, let's start. I need to get my hours. And this is you still do 1,500 hours during your master's, and then you have to do another 3,500. Problem is, you have to complete your hours within 6 years. So I kept starting and stopping. Like I would start, and then I'd have a kid, and then I would stop, and I would start, and I would
Wow.
stop. Yeah. And so the 6 years expired. I was at 3,000 hours, and then
Wow.
it expired. And so I had to start all over again.
Wow.
So once my youngest was started school, I was like, okay, let's just do this. Let's bang it out. And it took me about 2 years, and I did that. So I've been licensed now for about a year practicing, and it's really exciting and fun. And
Lovely.
Yeah.
That
How
was
about you?
wonderful.
Give us some background on you.
A little bit about me. I think I was born with like a pretty high intuition. Again, I grew up very, I would say, sensitive more than anything.
Yeah.
And this really, I always sought God from like the wee ages and the wee years.
Did you guys grow up? You grew up like pretty traditional as well.
Very traditional. I want to say I was probably the first observant person in my whole entire family, which is
Oh,
my
wow.
extended family.
Yeah.
And through that time, there's been a lot of on and off inside of religion. So
Yeah.
a lot of Choser B'Tshuva and then not, and then going back and forth. And recently, I want to say when I had my first kid, I had a Monday night class I would go to on the Upper East Side that's still in existence with a bunch of friends.
What was it called?
Like the Upper East Side Monday night class. This was just a bunch of our boys getting together. Ori
Who
was
was teaching it?
just one of our close friends is very, very studious. It's a guy by the name of David Fader.
Uh,
Every week we would have like a guest speaker come whenever available. So I
okay.
remember one time there's a rabbi. His name is Rabbi Gudenmacher, and he basically said, "Guys, whatever doesn't feel spiritually connected for you, I don't want you to do. Only
Mm,
do the items, only do the mitzvot that are spiritually important to you." What does it mean? When you get up in the morning and you're doing Al Nitilat Yadayim, if you feel nothing, don't do it.
interesting.
I'm like, very interesting.
Yeah.
And he says, I want you to find the meaning behind each single thing that you do. And I don't know, one thing to another, to another, to another. And I got connected to the spirituality behind what I was doing. And that brought me a lot more peace and a lot more connection. I want to
Yeah.
say also just a little bit about me. Also, from the wee years, I've wanted to be an entrepreneur. I've practiced entrepreneurship. Um, I cannot I cannot say a more spiritual experience than entrepreneurship because there's a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah.
It gets crazy at times, and sometimes the only thing you have to hold on to in certain moments, to me, is my faith and my
Yeah.
connection with God. And that doesn't mean, again, really on my personal side, I don't observe everything. To be completely frank and honest with everyone,
You're
I'm
trying like the rest of us.
life is a process.
Yeah.
It's not, for me, life isn't about black and white.
Right.
Nothing to me is black and white almost. I believe in many, many, many colors and many, many different shades. And my communication with people, that also exists. Meaning,
Yeah.
if oftentimes when I'm listening to people, they say, oh, X, Y, and Z did this wrong to me. And then if you add in a little bit of compassion and you add in a little bit of empathy, you start to see different colors in the communication. So
100%.
this is really my purpose in life, how to help people communicate more. And who I am as an entrepreneur, basically all I do is I do real estate, but the concept here is I bring people into nature. I sell them land oftentimes. And there also is a very spiritual meaning and connection for me. Like, how do I get people into land? How do I get people away from screens? How do I get people away from technology?
Yeah.
And one thing I can say, even though, me and you are just starting out in this, this is like a chance to share my light, which I've
Yeah.
literally in my life have kept a very quiet, very simple life, which I really enjoy. And I really don't share myself spiritually at all with people, besides maybe my wife and my children, who I'm
Yeah.
going around the house and I'm blessing them all day long. Um,
So cute.
so I'm just wanted to say I'm grateful to you because it's
Thank
like,
you. Me too.
yeah, like we get to connect like we used to
Yeah.
on the bus, and we get to connect with people and just share our hearts and really
Yeah.
try to support others in their journeys.
Yeah. I think I don't think everybody, like there's people who feel really deeply and I think once you're somebody who's gone through your own healing and like you see how much that's helped you, whether for us, I think for sure spirituality plays such a big part in it. You want to share that with others that you know are struggling. You're like, wait, there's more. There's something you can do here. You don't have to be struggling like this.
Yeah,
There's tools. There's God. There's
for me personally, just to share, um, and I don't share this often. I live a meaningful life. I have a very kind wife. God bless
Mm,
her. I have wonderful children. God bless them. My parents, my in-laws, everyone's alive.
yeah,
I'm beyond grateful. So when I think about my life, it's there's like a lot of good emotions oftentimes inside myself. And so I think to myself, okay, what's next? I believe the next part of my journey is to be able to share, or that we should share,
some of that light with others.
yeah, ourselves to others. Like I can feel people. I'm
Yeah, you're an empath.
totally
When's your birthday? It's October, end of October.
September
No.
25th.
Oh, it was
And
close.
when I experience people, I know people, or I can imagine that people are going through a difficult times, emotionally, and the world's in a very, very, very weird place. I can speak
Yeah.
literally months about this. And I just want to say, I understand. I'm here for you. And both Melissa and I don't know, like really to give ourselves to people and say, guys, like we're here, we're available, and any way that
Yeah.
we can support as human beings in the world, because we've been in difficult places and we need support in those difficult moments.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. So, by the way, I think the conversation we wanted to have, where were you in high school, like emotionally and spiritually? How were you able to go through that, and how does it reflect on your journey today?
I think that in high school, I didn't really understand how to connect, how to deal with all of my feelings and all of that. Um, And I think the older you get, like I was telling my kids this because I keep wanting to do like things in nature. I'm like, they're like, no, they don't want to. And I'm like, the older you get, you really crave nature and the outdoors because you're like looking for that calm. That I think in high school, you're much more like hyper focused on how you look and how you're perceived and being cool and having fun and it's not that you don't have depth, but I think you're lacking. I mean, your prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. You're just not.
That's good to know, by the way.
Yeah, not till 26 actually. That's why you make stupid decisions when you're young.
Yeah, for me it was like I lived in insecurity. Really,
Yeah.
my whole
It's so interesting because that's not what you portrayed.
no, of course. I portray
Yeah.
there was a certain cockiness at that time. But
I wouldn't call you cocky. I think you were super friendly. You were very social and friendly and you were easy to get along with, but you came off as very confident.
okay, very interesting. I can tell you behind all of that, I want to say
Yeah.
for the past 2 decades of my life, I did not experience that at all. Probably even
Mm,
what I experienced was like to communicate my deepest fear. I know so many people struggling with this. I felt incredibly unworthy and just not
mm,
enough. And I don't know, through the years, you kind of are peeling that onion and saying, okay, well,
yeah.
why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
And I know so many young people today that are struggling to get married, let's say, or whatever else is going on in their life, and they're thinking to themselves, how I feel unworthy. Like how is someone else supposed to love me? And I
Yeah.
just want to share with the audience, especially people looking to get married. For me, like the thing that unlocked that, the better relationship I had with myself and the more love
100%.
I gave myself, the
Yeah.
more that that vortex opened up for me.
Yeah. So
And it,
something I do often in my practice, it's called EMDR. It's a form of therapy. It's like mostly trauma. It's not only trauma, but it works really well for trauma. But it's based on the premise that we have negative self beliefs about ourselves, right? Like negative cognitions we hold on to, and they're usually linked to a memory network. which usually goes back to your touchstone memory from childhood. So
Totally.
some sorry?
Totally.
Yeah. So the whole premise is changing that negative cognition about yourself. I'm not worthy. I'm unlovable. I'm not safe. I'm not okay. I should have done something that we hold on to and really go throughout our whole life holding on to. So the whole premise is like how to fix that, like how to take those negative cognitions and turn them on their head. And how would you like to think about yourself instead?
Yeah, totally. For me, I think through my journey, it's been changing the word fixing into nurturing. Like how do I get to a better place with myself and also give myself the space to heal by percentages? Because
Yeah.
for me, it was always like in my teen years, it's like, okay, well, how do I improve this, or how do I perfect this, or how do I like being very rigid with myself? And through the time, it's like, no, I'm growing, but I'm growing slowly, and it's like a tree that like you
Yeah.
deepen the roots.
Yeah. And also progress is not linear. You're going to have days where you're going to feel amazing and like, I was thinking I went for a run yesterday and I ran like twice as much as I usually do. And I was like, wow, this is great. And then today I could barely finish.
Yeah,
Like every day is different. You show up differently. And as long as you're doing the best you can that day,
yeah, and communicating kindly with yourself. Like to me,
that's the hardest part.
it's we all tell ourselves stories. Every single thing inside of our mind is a story, essentially. And really,
100%.
it's
The
choosing the
reality you
story.
create for yourself.
Yeah, and questioning your stories. Like, I have friendships where I can come to them and I can say very difficult things that I'm feeling. I'm feeling incredibly unworthy. I feel like the business is going nowhere. I feel like things are stagnating. And then they
Yeah.
say something like, okay, well, let's unpack that, like okay, give me some idea of what's happening and why do you feel this way and what are the things that are actually going on and maybe like giving me a sense of reality because in my mind
Yeah.
when things are going negative or I'm in self-shame or in self-guilt or in self-judgment, it's kind of difficult to hear any sort of positive noises.
It's so difficult. And I'm sorry, I keep using therapy, but cognitive behavioral therapy is that, right? You're taking those thoughts and you're questioning them. You're like, wait a minute, is this actually true? Is my business really going to hell? Or am I catastrophizing? And
Totally.
like how you said, the focusing on your family and the blessings, like when you just take a moment to bring the gratitude back into your life, it really just shifts your mindset. You get out of that negativity and back to the positive.
I don't want to bring you back to ADHD, but I'm gonna.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, so with ADHD, we get into negative holes. That's a very common thing. I don't think most people with
Yeah.
ADHD know that even. The thing,
I think it's very similar in a lot of ways to anxiety.
totally,
Yeah.
the things that ground us and the things that bring us out are a couple of things. It's really about getting centered, but breathing. Like you
Yeah.
said before, nature. I
Yeah.
realized, by the way, growing up, my dad came to the country when he was like 16, 17 years old. He was literally never around. And the times that I got to spend with him was like he would take me and my family to Lake George for a week.
Mm,
And we realized in those trips that we both really love nature. And what I researched about people with ADHD, it's so important when you're in a hole or when you're off centered or when things are going terrible and you're in a worry pattern, just go walk outside.
totally.
Like take your socks off and put them in the sand or in
Yeah.
the
Ground.
grass. Like really, 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 like kiss
Yeah.
the trees, hug the trees. I'm big on
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. How do we bring more? Our day-to-day lives are so hectic. Like from the moment we wake up to the moment we sleep, between all the technology and everywhere we have to be and all the people we have to talk to, like how often do we take a minute to breathe, to like take
that.
a break?
It's what we realize is babies when they're born, they're breathing from their stomach. Like when you go and watch a baby, and that's good, healthy breathing.
Yeah.
Through the time, we've learned to stop breathing. We're
Yeah.
in survival mode, most of us. So the thing to do, I believe on the first episode, you mentioned an experience that you went,
Breath work.
and you
Yeah,
said that was a religious experience.
it really was. It was really just,
It's about breathing through your stomach where endorphins are entering your mind and you're literally feeling oftentimes energy just enter your vessel.
yeah.
So I really like that technique.
Yeah, what are some things that you use with your like, ADHD,
It
anxiety? What do you use to center
it
to ground? What
it
works for you?
it depends what feeling I'm in. If I'm in frustration, anger, worry, sadness, or something like that,
Yeah.
and it's deep, what I'm oftentimes doing, I'm journaling. And then I go on. I know how crazy this is gonna sound, guys, but I'm gonna share. I go onto a mattress. I literally put a pillow on my face and I scream it out to be able to get the energy out
Mm,
because it's stuck inside of our bodies and there's no place to move it. It's a
yeah.
stagnant energy inside of our bodies. We can't do shit with it. And then if it's shallow, like if it's just kind of surfacing, I'm breathing oftentimes. I'm breathing things out, or I'm drinking water, or like I spend a lot of time being grateful to God. Like
Yeah.
essentially I what I've noticed is we're really nothing. We're ants at best, like in the grand scheme of things and what's going on in our lives. And like in 1 second, and it's happened in my life, God can take away everything or people or certain things that we took for granted.
Yeah.
And the idea is, walk around and just be grateful. And there's a reason why in Shema Yisrael we say you have to basically do the mitzvot b'simcha. It's like a huge, huge thing by the Jews.
Yeah.
With
Yeah.
joy. Joy is a huge Kabbalistic secret. Joy allows the light to enter. When we
Blessings to
are
come in.
when we are angry, it's equivalent to us worshiping Avodah Zarah. It's like a known thing. Allowing joy into our lives allows blessings. So, okay, physically, I don't have everything I want just yet. My wife
Yeah.
doesn't have the range. I don't have the Ferrari yet. It's all good.
It's
What I
all good.
what I do have is gratitude, and I don't know. To me, that's a lot.
And also, like, I was thinking about this also. Most of us live in very affluent communities, right? Or even if we're not in affluent communities, we are surrounded by wealth. It is so all around us. And it's so easy to get lost in that and compare yourself to that and think you're not enough because you're not there. But when was the last time, like that's why giving charity, I think tzedakah, volunteering your time is so important
Yeah,
because it shifts your mindset into like, wait a minute, there are people who have so much less than me.
yeah.
There's giving of your time, your money is really such a huge tool, I think, as well to shift that energy.
I read something so beautiful recently. It's like how do I oftentimes thinks about, okay, how will we change society to benefit the whole? It's a big one. So I saw something like, okay, we're gonna give in nursing homes, we're gonna give Gen Z free housing so that they can spend time with the elderly and that the elderly won't feel as lonely and the Gen Z will have some experience.
Yeah,
And I'm like, okay, that's
amazing.
brilliant and works. Like, how do we create more of these types of
Yeah,
connections in society? Well, as society goes to hell, what it seems like to me, like how do we support each other as people? Because it's going to be so essential.
yeah. Yeah, for a long time, so my hours that I was doing in the beginning that all expired, but still, I was working with the elderly, with Iranian elderly, like not just Jews, everybody. I spent a lot of time, I was doing mental health assessments for them, helping them. And people were like, how do you do it? Like, how do you hang out with like old people all day? They would laugh at me. We'd go to weddings and I'd be like hanging out with the old people because I knew all of them. And they're
Yeah,
like, why do you hang out? Why are your friends 80 and above? I'm like, I really enjoy it. First of all, I feel like there's so much I can learn from them. They are so wise. And it also makes me appreciate life. The fact that,
yeah.
like,
It's funny because my grandfather's still around. God bless him. He's 93 years old.
oh,
He
wow.
was he was by my
Amazing.
house for Shabbat, and he was sharing with me his experiences of World War II. And My aunt has her mom still alive. She's in her 90s as well, and she was sharing with me that in her time there was no electricity in her house and there was no running water. And I was just like, "What? Like you're
How did you
joking?"
live like that?
My grandfather in Samarkand, there was a huge famine. There was a huge famine in the 30s where there was literally no food. He was like maybe 10 years old. He would go outside, see people freezing, and on the daily, people dying. And there was like literally a horse and buggy picking people up from the street because they
Yeah.
starved themselves to death. Like how 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 great is our life? Like literally, how
And we
great?
don't appreciate it.
No.
How much do we appreciate it?
How much do we? I feel like because you and I were in a time where the internet didn't exist, and we had those memories in the 90s of like me, I was playing outside a lot. For us, like I do have like it's a connection between old school and new school. And
Yeah. Yeah, we still have that.
what I hope for the children is not to get lost in the devices, because
They've already gotten lost in the devices.
the devices for me personally, you can't appreciate when you have so many options. My
Even like us devices, it's an issue.
like what devices?
I'm saying even as adults, think about how much time we spend on devices. Like our whole life, our whole like job life and then entertainment. Like how much time are you spending on a device?
100%. It's seeped into our house. It's seeped into like it's literally taking away from our time with our children, our time with our wife, our time as a family. And this is something
Yeah.
that has been so protected prior to this that
Yeah.
honestly we should take a moment and think about the next steps for us
But I
individually.
think it can't be done individually. I think it needs to be done on a community wide. Like, you know what I mean? It can't be like that in my children's school, they're trying to start an initiative where like it's, you know, like we all hold off cell phones for our kids until high school, like as a community, because if your kid's gonna come home and say everyone else has it and I don't, you're gonna give in. You're more likely to give in.
So, okay,
If it's
as a community, thank God, my children's school have not allowed cell phones inside the school. I think that's
yeah, yeah, yeah,
incredibly
same.
valuable. That's a
Yeah.
step, and I'm in agreement with you.
Yeah.
It's very scary, and my wife and I, we were pretty adamant about when we can have screen time and when we can't have screen time. Again, going back to the numbers, to the boundaries. There's nothing more powerful than a person with boundaries for himself and for others. Keeps us
Yeah.
safe and keeps us feeling good.
I mean, yeah, again, like goes back to Judaism, right? All boundaries, all about like you can enjoy things in life, but there's boundaries with everything.
Yeah, yeah. I really think it's time. It's like the time of the Messiah. Like we're living in this time right now because of everything I'm seeing technology wise, and
Yeah.
it's very
All
humbling.
the AI,
It's very humbling and it's very scary.
it's very scary.
The
I
benefit
think,
is I can make a cartoon picture of you.
yeah. Although those didn't look anything like me or you, by the
Of
way.
course, of course.
I feel like there's so many benefits to our communities and like so much good that comes out of it. But I do worry about like all the superficiality that I feel like we're also surrounded in and consumed by, and the comparison.
Yeah.
And I work with a lot of moms, and I hear that from them. They're constantly comparing themselves to everyone else.
If you feel empty on the inside, you're gonna look on the outside. What I can
Right.
what I can share with the audience is Um, true wealth has to start from the inside. Why? Because if you
Yeah.
receive the item, it's like children. Look at your children, guys. If they get the toy, they're going to enjoy it for 1 to 3 days. If we as people are going
Yeah.
to get the toy, let it be the Chanel bags or the Chanel shoes or
Yeah.
and by the way, I love all of that.
I
Meaning
know.
when I wear it, it brings a beautiful energy to my spirit. I get it. But
Yeah.
it can't be the reason why.
No, it can't be the reason why. I think also it's important. What I try to remind my kids about is like, you know, it becomes your normal. Like if you are a billionaire and that's how you live, it's not exciting for you. That's your life. And it's not bringing you like the happiness that you think maybe it would bring you for a day to be able to just like do whatever you wanted. It's think about how many people you know who are like uber successful and wealthy. Do they look like they're happy?
Some, but some no.
Exactly. Some can they have a lot of maybe more experiences in life, but are like deep down, do they feel fulfilled and happy just because of their wealth? No.
Would I
Maybe if they're going deeper than that.
would I shift lives with any of them? And by the way, I speak about this with my wife often. Like, would
Yeah.
I shift my reality to Elon Musk or to Jeff Bezos? If
Right.
you're poor on the inside, I don't care what you have on the outside, truthfully.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you're constantly going for the next thing, or you're constantly living in anxiety like I used to be honest, like I literally lived in
Yeah.
anxiety, I don't care for that reality, to be honest. I honestly, what I really value is a very simple life with
Yeah.
good friends, like
Yeah. You
partners.
value connection. You don't care. I mean, I'm sure you're like this too. I don't care how much money people have. It's like not exciting.
We've been taught bullshit, though. Like, literally, we've been taught lies. One of my professors at NYU, I'm going to mention his name because I think he'd be okay with it. I took his class 5 times. His name is Phil Palevsky. He's one of the biggest developers in New York since the 70s. And I
Yeah.
value him so much. The first day he came into class, I thought he was homeless. I
Yeah.
literally, he
Yeah.
had a Casio watch and he
Yeah.
had like a homeless hat. The only reason I believed who he was, there was a stretch limo waiting for him outside. But he told me I would never, ever, ever be on the Forbes list because there's no upside to that. There's no value in being in a list where people know who you are.
Yeah.
If you want to be rich and famous, try to be rich first and then figure out if you actually want that fame. Because
I
fame
mean, who
is,
wants fame? Like, why
you
would you
want
even want
fame?
that? Sounds horrible.
It does. It does.
But I think for especially like me and you, we're not like people who like crave attention, you know?
Not anymore. Like in high school, I was totally the person that wanted attention because it was like, okay, well,
You definitely got it. You were so funny.
I feel
We all
this
gave
is
it to
where
you.
my humor comes from, though. It's like
I know, it was a
I
defense
want,
mechanism,
I want to be
obviously.
seen. I want to be considered. I don't know, like these are the ways in which to meet my needs.
Yeah, yeah.
And then when you kind of meet those needs for yourself, you're like, okay, well, I can let that
Yeah.
go.
But like you're still funny. You just
Yeah. Remember when
Yeah.
I came to your house and I don't know, I think I was funny, but it was nice connecting with everyone. Your
What?
brother-in-law, your sister-in-law.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So should we tell so Johnny, me and Johnny were like really close in high school. Did we talk in college? Were we
We
like
spoke in
close?
college. I remember you came to my 21st birthday. I don't
Yeah,
know.
but we weren't like close for a while.
Of course not. Meaning you were off your derech, I was on my derech.
Oh, thanks. Oh, you mean like okay. Yeah. But no, and then after college we started hanging out again a little bit. I remember you were at NYU taking classes and we'd meet
Yeah.
up. And then I feel like we've always talked over the years. And then I remember, so Johnny was in LA and he posted on Instagram that he was here. It was like 2 hours before Shabbat.
Yeah, I was in LA for a wedding.
Yeah.
And I'm
And
like,
then I was like, where are you tonight? What do you, because we would talk occasionally. And you're like, oh, nowhere. I was like, oh, great. So come over.
and this was
Um,
like after a decade of not seeing you.
Yeah, but the best was like I told my husband, I was like, "Oh, my friend Johnny's coming." He's like, "Who's Johnny?" Like, I've never heard this name. Like maybe occasionally. I was like, "Oh, we were like best friends." I'm like, "It's not weird, you know?" He's like, "Okay, as long as he's just like a friend that you have." I'm like, "Yeah." You know, I'm like, "Totally."
Yeah.
So, yeah, you came
Is he
over and it
okay
was
with,
so
is
fun.
he okay with us doing the podcast, by the way?
Yeah, he's fine with it.
That is very
He
nice.
doesn't really understand what we're doing, but
Of
he's fine
course,
with it.
we're gonna have him as a guest.
Yeah, 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 guest speaker. He's entertaining.
Okay, guys, I think if it's okay, we're gonna close it because I have a meeting in 3.
Yeah.
It was
All
such a
right.
pleasure connecting,
You
and we'll,
too.
we'll do this again.
Yes. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Bye.